Filming on location today on West Side Road outside of High Rolls, New Mexico at an altitude about 7,700 feet above sea level and an ambient air temperature today of about 81 degrees right now. In the background there you can see White Sands National Monument and all the way to the Oregon Mountains in the distance. That's about 55 miles out there. Heck of a view. Hi folks, Dan with High Country again. In the continuing saga of backpacking and camping food, I thought I'd do a periodic episode on wildland food, and that is food you can find in the wild, which might help you in a bad situation or simply supplement your diet in a good situation and make things a little bit more fun. We're going to start with a New Mexico standby and one of my old favorites, and that is the Pinyon nut. I'll tell you a little bit about the tree, where you're more likely to find them, what you're looking for when you find the trees in order to find the nuts, and a little cautionary tale at the end. So let's get started on the pinyon. This, folks, is a pinyon tree. Now, this is just a baby. It's about 6.5 feet tall, just a few years old. They will range up to about 65 feet or so. I've seen some really magnificent ones, but this is a nice small specimen that we can get up close to, and I can show you a couple of things about the tree. Now, pinyons come in two varieties. That is the 2-leaf and the 1-leaf, and that has to do with the way the needles grow from the stem. They'll either come in a pair or singular. In New Mexico, we generally see the 2-leaf. In fact, I believe that it is our state tree. Now, you'll notice that I've said pinyon, not pinyon. It is not a pinyon pine, it is a pinyon pine. A pinyon is a circular gear, which you may find in, say, rack and pinion steering, or the ring and pinion in the drivetrain of your car. Pinyon is a town in Arizona. I've been there. Pinyon is a type of moth. Pinyon is also, I believe, a very specific feather on a bird's wing, though I cannot tell you which one. Pinyon is not a pine. It is not a conifer. This is a pinyon. Pin, like queen, yon, like lone. Pinyon. For those of you who smoked your lunch, see the bottom of the screen. Pinyon. I suppose you could call it a trout if you wanted to, but you'd be wrong. And to quote a movie, don't be that guy. All right, let's talk a little about the pinyon and where you're going to find it. It will range through a lot of your western states. New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, Utah, things like that. Let's get a little closer and I'll show you something about the 1 and 2 needle. All right, here's a more up-close view of a pinyon branch. Now, this is actually an interesting one because you can see something here. You can see at the end, the fresh green needles here are still one. They're still a single needle. But here, when you move back, we can see where they've turned into 2 needle. Hence the 2-leaf pinyon. As they grow, they'll split into those 2 needles. When they're fresh, they look like a single, but they're actually not. They're a 2 needle. Now, you will find these, as I said, in Nevada, Arizona, Utah, New Mexico. New Mexico, I believe you won't find the single needle. Interestingly, the single and 2 needle will interbreed when the situation calls for it. Now we're going to talk about where you find your nuts. You're actually going to find the nuts in 2 places. Well, they'll actually be found in 1 place. These are conifers. The nuts grow within the cone, within a pine cone. And they're going to look very similar to other pine cones you've seen in your life on TV or in real life. And I'll give you a close-up view of one of those here in a minute. But you're either going to find the cones on the tree or on the ground. And this debris field on the ground is generally the easiest place to look. And now what you're going to find is a pile of cones as they've fallen off or been knocked off by the wind or squirrels or that sort of thing. And you're just going to get in there and root around, pick up the little gray pine cones, see if there's a nut still inside them, and move around on the ground looking for the nuts themselves. Now let's move in and get a close-up, and I'll see if I can't find a nut for you to check out. All right, let's root around in the ground here a little bit and see if I can't find a sample. Let's see, there's a cone. That one you'll notice has been broken apart and picked through. A squirrel, rodent of some sort has already come and taken their bounty. You're not going to get anything out of that. Let's see. There's another one you can see. It's been picked apart. You're not going to get anything out of that cone. So what do we have here on the ground? Aha. There's a pinyon. Now, you'll see a hole on the side of that one. It's already been gotten to by something, but that is a pinyon nut. That's what they're going to look like when you find them on the ground. See if we can find another one here. It is actually sort of the wrong time of year for this. There we go. There's another one. There's a pinyon. What else have we got here? Aha. Oh, nope, that's just a husk that's been eaten. You'll see what I'm getting at, though. These pinyons will be laying here on the ground. Now, Here's the interesting aside that I was talking about, and we'll talk about this here in a minute. But let's keep looking. What else have we got here? Just keep poking through the debris pile. See, there's another pinon husk. This one, again, it's cracked, it's open. There's nothing in there for you to eat. So what you're going to do is pick through your pine cones and your debris field looking for the nuts. Now, when they're healthy, they're going to be a very dark, almost chocolatey brown, and that's the ones you're going to be looking for to eat. We may not find a good one today because they don't occur all year. In fact, they don't occur every year. Some pinon trees will only breed every 5 to 7 years, depending on climatic conditions, water, that sort of thing. But you're just going to root through your pile looking for that shape. What do we got here? Anything good? Nope. See, there's another half of one. Something's already eaten it. So you're just going to poke through your pile looking for nuts. That's all there is to it. It's not hard. So let's get a close-up of the cones you're looking for and of the little aside that I was discussing that you're going to want to be very, very careful about. All right, folks, here's a good comparison so you can see a pinon pine cone versus a regular pine cone. The pinon is here. It's the smaller one on your right, and this is a larger one, probably off of a ponderosa pine. But if you're seeing these big, large pine cones like you're used to from TV or that kind of thing, this is not what you're after. These do have edible nuts, but they're very, very small, and they're not worth your time to try and harvest. You're looking for these small, squatty cones, and that's the pinon pine cone. All right, folks, I did stop at a separate location and managed to find a couple of pinons, and then I stupidly neglected to get that on camera. So that's what they're going to look like. They're going to be roughly chocolate brown and very small. Now, I said there was an interesting aside that I wanted to share with you. Those are pinons. That is a rabbit turd. You see the similarity. So you want to be careful when you're picking stuff up. I've seen people grab pinons, just throw them in their mouth and crack the shell that way. You'll only do that with a rabbit turd once, I promise you. But that's a rabbit turd. Those are pinons. Note the similarity in size and shape. So let's get rid of that. So let's grab one of these pinons and open it up, and I'll see if I can't show you what's inside. Squeeze, and they'll break along the seams. And there's what you're going to find. A nut inside, which will range from white to almost cream, maybe even a dark ivory. But if they go to brown, they've gone bad. They probably won't be good. But that's what one looks like. And it's just a little white, nutty meat. That one's a little odd looking. Ah, it's got a hole in it. There's been a worm into that one. Okay, that's why it's a little odd looking. It's a little rough. But there you go. It's just going to be a white little nugget that's contained inside the shell of the nut. So that's what your pinon looks like when you break it open. All right, folks, that's a brief introduction to the pinon pine, a little bit about its range, where you're going to find it, and what you're looking for when you do. I hope you've enjoyed this content. As I said, you won't find them all the time, but if you're out somewhere that you see a pinon, it's certainly worth looking. They're a delicious nut, very high in fat and carbohydrates. They were a food source for Native Americans for a long, long time and are still commercially harvested out here in this part of the world. Hope you've enjoyed the content. If you have, I hope you'll come back and see us again. I'm Dan with High Country. We'll catch you next time.